not with your ears alone, but with the part of you that has survived every battle meant to break you. Across the noise of this world, across screens and signals, a truth slipped through, brief, almost hidden, a truth spoken in passing, yet heavy with consequence, not because of the man who spoke it, but because of who you are. You were not meant to live small. You were not formed for comfort, distraction, or obedience to fear. You were forged with intention. This age rewards speed, brilliance, and ambition, but it forgets something ancient. Power without purpose collapses. Even the greatest minds glimpse this truth and tremble at it. They sense that humanity is standing at a threshold. Technology rising, morality lagging, souls growing quiet. And in that moment you were brought into focus, not by name, not by face, but by function. You are among those who carry discernment, those who question the direction of the world, those who feel the weight of responsibility even when no one sees it. You were not awakened by accident. While others chase progress, you feel the need for alignment. While others build towers, you ask what foundation they stand on. While others worship creation, you remember the Creator. Do not ignore this stirring. Moments like these are not announcements, they are summons. You are being reminded to stand upright, to sharpen your mind without dulling your spirit, to engage the future without surrendering your soul. This is not a call to fear technology. It is a call to master it without being mastered. This is not a call to reject the world. It is a call to defend what is eternal within it. You are needed, clear-eyed, grounded, courageous, not loud but unmovable, not worshipped but trustworthy. The days ahead will favor those who can see beyond brilliance and ask, at what cost? Remain awake, remain disciplined, remain faithful. You were not overlooked, you were recognized, and now, the choice is yours. You were recognized for your purpose, not your popularity. This truth cuts against everything the world teaches you to chase. From the earliest moments, you are trained to measure your worth by visibility, by applause, numbers, approval, and affirmation. The louder the crowd, the more valuable the voice seems. The brighter the spotlight, the more important the figure appears. But this system has always been flawed, because it rewards what is seen and neglects what is essential. Purpose does not announce itself with noise. Purpose does not beg for attention. Purpose exists long before recognition ever arrives, and often it operates best when no one is watching. To be recognized for purpose is to be seen beyond surface value. It means what was noticed in you was not your charisma, not your ability to attract followers, not your talent for performance, but your alignment, your capacity to carry responsibility, your willingness to hold weight without collapsing under it. Popularity asks, how many will follow you? Purpose asks, what can you be trusted to carry? These are not the same question, and they do not produce the same kind of people. Popularity is fragile. It shifts with trends, moods, and moments. It depends on agreement, and disappears the instant you challenge comfort. Purpose, however, remains steady even when misunderstood. It does not require consensus. It does not dissolve when resisted. Purpose can stand alone, because it was never designed to be validated by crowds. It was designed to be fulfilled through obedience, discipline, and endurance. Those recognized for popularity are celebrated early and abandoned quickly. Those recognized for purpose are often overlooked at first, tested in silence, refined through obscurity, and revealed only when the moment demands substance rather than spectacle. If you have ever wondered why your path feels slower, heavier, or lonelier than others, it is because popularity rushes forward, while purpose waits to be ready. Speed is impressive, but readiness is decisive. To be recognized for purpose means your value was measured by what you could withstand, not by what you could attract. It means someone somewhere saw that you would not fold under pressure, that you would not compromise when tempted, that you would not abandon truth when it became inconvenient. This kind of recognition does not come with praise. It comes with expectation. It comes with weight, and often, it comes without explanation. Purpose recognition does not flatter the ego, it confronts the soul. It asks whether you are willing to be unseen and still remain faithful, whether you can labor without immediate reward, whether you can hold conviction when it costs you approval. Popularity feeds on affirmation. Purpose feeds on obedience. One makes you dependent on others. The other anchors you within. There is a reason those with purpose often feel out of place in systems built on applause. They sense the emptiness behind noise. They recognize how easily attention can be manipulated, and how quickly admiration can turn into accusation. They do not despise influence, but they are not seduced by it. They understand that influence without integrity corrodes from the inside out. Being recognized for purpose also means your role is not decorative. You are not here to entertain the age or echo its opinions. You are here to stabilize, to question, to guard, to build, and sometimes to resist. These functions are rarely celebrated. In fact, they are often opposed. Yet without them, everything collapses. Foundations are never praised the way towers are, but when the storm comes, only foundations matter. If popularity had been your assignment, your path would be easy to understand. You would know exactly what to say, how to say it, and when to remain silent to stay favored. Purpose, however, demands clarity over comfort. It requires you to speak when silence would protect you, and to remain silent when noise would gain you attention. This tension is not accidental. It is training. You may have noticed that your growth has come more through pressure than praise, that your clarity has been shaped more by loss than by applause, that your strength has been forged in moments where no one defended you, but you still chose what was right. This is not neglect. This is preparation. Purpose is expensive because it must last. Popularity is cheap because it is temporary. To be recognized for purpose is also to be held to a higher standard, even when no one explains why. You may feel the weight of responsibility more intensely than others. You may sense consequences before actions are taken. You may feel compelled to act with integrity even when shortcuts are available. This is not self-righteousness, it is stewardship. Purpose recognizes that your choices ripple outward, and that compromise carries a cost beyond yourself. Do not resent the obscurity that has protected you. Do not envy the visibility that has consumed others. Many who rise quickly do so without roots, and when the winds change, they are uprooted just as fast. You were allowed to grow downward before being called upward, depth before height, substance before exposure. This order matters. Recognition for purpose is not an invitation to pride, it is a warning against it. The moment you begin to seek popularity, you dilute the very thing that made you trustworthy. Purpose cannot be chased. It must be carried. And it is carried best by those who do not need to be seen doing it. If you feel unseen, misunderstood, or delayed, remember this. Purpose is rarely acknowledged by the world until the world needs it. The time of quiet formation is not wasted time. It is the reason you will endure when others falter. When clarity is scarce and integrity is rare, those recognized for purpose will be called forward, not because they are famous, but because they are steady. Remain grounded. Remain disciplined. Do not trade depth for attention or truth for acceptance. Popularity fades when the moment passes. Purpose remains when everything else is shaken. And when the hour demands more than charisma, when it demands courage, wisdom, and restraint, you will understand why you were recognized not for how many eyes you could draw but for how much weight you could carry. Power must be guided by moral authority, or it will eventually turn against everything it was meant to serve. Power by itself is not evil, it is simply force, capacity, reach, and influence. It amplifies whatever governs it. When guided by wisdom, it protects. When guided by justice, it builds. When guided by humility, it preserves life and order. But when power is separated from moral authority, it becomes reckless, impatient, and destructive. History does not collapse because of weakness. It collapses because power outruns conscience. Moral authority is not granted by position, wealth, intellect, or innovation. It is earned through alignment with truth, restraint in temptation, and consistency under pressure. Anyone can seize power, but very few are willing to submit themselves to the discipline required to wield it rightly. Power asks, "What can I do?" Moral authority asks, "What should I do?" When that second question disappears, the first becomes dangerous. The world often confuses intelligence with wisdom and capability with righteousness. It celebrates those who can move systems, command resources, and shape outcomes, while ignoring the inner compass that determines whether those outcomes lead to life or decay. Power without moral authority moves quickly, but it does not see far. It solves immediate problems while creating deeper fractures beneath the surface. Moral authority does not shout. It does not dominate rooms. It does not need to intimidate or manipulate to be effective. Its strength lies in credibility. People may resist it, but they sense its weight. They know it cannot be bought, threatened, or easily corrupted. This is why moral authority often stands alone before it stands influential. It must first prove that it will not bend when bending would be rewarded. Power loves shortcuts. Moral authority insists on process. Power seeks efficiency. Moral authority seeks integrity. Power measures success by results. Moral authority measures success by righteousness, even when results are delayed. This tension is uncomfortable, especially in an age that prizes speed and disruption. But disruption without moral grounding eventually disrupts the very fabric of trust that societies depend on. When power operates without moral authority, it begins to justify itself. It reframes harm as necessity, exploitation as progress, and control as protection. It convinces itself that the end excuses the means, and once that belief takes root, there is no natural stopping point. Every boundary becomes negotiable, every principle becomes conditional. Power no longer answers to anything higher than itself, and in that moment it becomes its own idol. Those who carry moral authority understand restraint. They know that just because something can be done does not mean it should be done. They recognize that limits are not obstacles but safeguards. Moral authority accepts accountability, welcomes correction, and remains teachable even when powerful. It does not fear scrutiny, because it is anchored in truth rather than image. The absence of moral authority creates fear, even when power appears successful. People comply, but they do not trust. They follow, but they do not believe. Systems function, but they rot from within. Loyalty becomes transactional. Silence becomes survival. And eventually resistance grows, not because people hate order, but because they sense injustice. Moral authority, on the other hand, creates stability even in uncertainty. It reassures people that power is not arbitrary, that decisions are not driven solely by ambition or profit, and that human dignity still matters. It slows power down just enough to prevent catastrophe. It reminds power that it is a steward, not an owner. You may notice that those with true moral authority often hesitate before acting. This hesitation is not weakness, it is reverence for consequence. They feel the weight of their choices. They understand that influence multiplies impact, and impact multiplies responsibility. They do not rush to speak because they know words can shape reality. They do not rush to act because they know actions can wound or heal far beyond their intention. Moral authority is costly. It requires saying no when yes would be easier. It requires standing firm when compromise would bring comfort. It requires accepting misunderstanding rather than diluting truth. This is why many pursue power, but avoid moral authority. Power promises reward. Moral authority demands sacrifice. Yet power without moral authority is temporary. It eventually collapses under its own excess. It creates enemies faster than it creates solutions. It consumes trust until nothing is left to sustain it. Moral authority may move slowly, but it endures. It outlives regimes, trends, and technologies, because it is rooted in principles that do not expire. Those who possess moral authority are often tested before they are trusted. They face moments where no one would know if they compromised, but they choose integrity anyway. These moments shape them. They form an inner witness that cannot be erased. When such a person later holds power, it is governed from the inside out, not imposed from the outside in. The future does not merely need more powerful individuals. It needs individuals whose power is restrained by conscience, guided by truth, and accountable to something higher than themselves. Intelligence will continue to grow. Technology will continue to advance. Influence will continue to concentrate. But without moral authority, these advancements will magnify humanity's worst impulses instead of its highest potential. Power guided by moral authority does not seek domination, it seeks order. It does not aim to replace what is sacred, it seeks to protect it. It does not confuse progress with superiority. It understands that being able to shape the world carries the obligation to preserve what makes the world worth shaping. If you are entrusted with influence, remember that moral authority is not proven in public victories, but in private decisions. It is built when no applause follows obedience and no recognition rewards restraint. It is maintained when you choose truth over advantage and righteousness over relevance. This is what allows power to serve rather than consume, to build rather than destroy. In the end, power answers to something, either to ego, fear, and ambition, or to truth, justice, and responsibility. When moral authority governs power, power becomes a tool for good. When it does not, power becomes a test humanity repeatedly fails. He question is not whether power will exist, but whether it will be guided by something strong enough to restrain it. Technology must never replace discernment, for without discernment, all the tools in the world become instruments of confusion rather than instruments of advancement. In the current age, we are surrounded by devices, algorithms, and systems that promise speed, efficiency, and clarity. They offer answers at the push of a button, solutions in the blink of an eye, and visibility across every corner of the world. But technology, no matter how advanced, cannot think for you. It cannot feel, it cannot judge, and it cannot carry the weight of morality, intuition, or wisdom. Discernment is what allows a human being to separate noise from signal, truth from illusion, convenience from integrity. Without it, technology becomes a mirror reflecting only what is input, amplified without understanding, and executed without conscience. Discernment is more than knowledge. It is not simply the accumulation of facts or the mastery of processes. Knowledge tells you what is. Discernment tells you what matters. Knowledge can be copied, transferred, or automated. Discernment is forged in experience, shaped by reflection, and tested by consequence. It is the compass by which you navigate complexity, the lens through which you measure risk and benefit, and the voice that warns when convenience tempts compromise. Technology may suggest, calculate, and project, but it cannot weigh the moral or spiritual consequences of an action. Discernment is the human safeguard against the cold, unfeeling logic of machinery. In our world, it is easy to be seduced by technology's speed. Decisions once pondered over days or months are now made in minutes. Communication that required careful reflection is reduced to a series of clicks and swipes. Data streams endlessly, suggesting patterns and correlations that may or may not carry meaning. If discernment is not applied, humans become reactive rather than reflective. We begin to mistake what is fast for what is right, what is popular for what is true, and what is possible for what is wise. In this sense, technology amplifies both brilliance and folly. It does not distinguish between them. Discernment is also what protects against manipulation. Every algorithm, every feed, every automated system has biases embedded in it. They are not inherently malicious, but they are incomplete. They cannot see the whole picture, cannot understand context fully, and cannot feel the ethical weight of their outputs. Without discernment, humans accept these outputs as truth, allowing themselves to be directed by forces they neither control nor fully understand. This is not a rejection of technology. It is a recognition that technology is a tool, not a master. Discernment ensures that tools serve the human spirit rather than subjugate it. Technology also tempts the human heart with illusion. The ability to simulate reality, project identity, and fabricate presence creates opportunities for deception on scales previously unimaginable. Without discernment, one can be swept away by appearances, persuaded by trends, and ensnared by false promises. Discernment allows one to recognize the difference between surface and substance, between intent and consequence, between what glitters and what endures. Technology without discernment can be dazzling, but dazzling does not equate to wise. Discernment is cultivated through reflection, experience, and moral clarity. It grows in the spaces where one pauses to consider not just what can be done, but what should be done. Technology thrives in action, discernment thrives in thought. The two are not opposed, they are complementary. Technology expands reach and capacity, but discernment deters mind's direction. Without this guidance, action is blind, efficiency becomes chaos, and potential is wasted. Those who allow technology to dictate decisions without their own reflective judgment are like navigators surrendering the helm to a compass that moves with every gust of wind, rather than pointing toward true north. The ethical dimension of discernment cannot be overstated. Technology can scale influence, but it cannot scale conscience. It can track behavior, predict patterns, and model outcomes, yet it cannot weigh what is morally right or just. Discernment bridges this gap. It interprets technological insight through the lens of values, empathy, and long-term consequence. It prevents innovation from trampling humanity in the pursuit of efficiency. It prevents automation from replacing judgment. It prevents knowledge from becoming arrogance. Technology may provide tools to act faster, but discernment ensures that actions are aligned with wisdom, integrity, and foresight. Discernment is also what allows one to adapt without losing essence. In an era of rapid technological change, many become reactive, always following the latest system, algorithm, or trend. Discernment allows you to filter what is useful from what is distracting, to embrace innovation without sacrificing principles, and to wield power without being consumed by it. It is the anchor that prevents the human mind from being carried away by the tides of automation and digital noise. Those who cultivate discernment understand that technology is not a replacement for judgment, creativity, or conscience. It is a magnifier of intent. If the intent is pure, technology amplifies good. If the intent is unexamined, technology amplifies error. Discernment ensures that the human hand guides the tool, rather than being guided by it. It is what allows innovation to serve humanity, rather than enslave it. What allows knowledge to empower rather than mislead, and what allows influence to protect rather than exploit. Finally, discernment is what preserves freedom in an age of mechanization. Technology offers convenience, speed, and reach, but it also tempts dependency. Those who abandon discernment surrender autonomy to algorithms, systems, and devices that do not know their values, cannot feel their responsibilities, and cannot perceive the consequences of their choices. Discernment ensures that freedom is not ceded to convenience, that judgment is not outsourced to code, and that the human spirit remains the ultimate arbiter of action. To neglect discernment is to risk being led not by vision, but by calculation, not by wisdom, but by efficiency, not by conscience, but by expediency. Technology can inform, suggest, and enhance, but it cannot substitute for the internal compass that distinguishes right from expedient, true from false, and enduring from ephemeral. Discernment is the lens through which technology becomes a servant, not a master. It is the guardian that ensures progress is aligned with humanity. It is the strength that prevents brilliance from becoming catastrophe. Therefore, cultivate discernment. Exercise it daily. Let it guide the use of every tool, device, and system. Pause to consider not only what technology can achieve, but what it should achieve. Reflect on the consequences not only in the immediate moment, but across time, across generations, and across lives. Technology can amplify action, but discernment determines purpose. Technology can increase speed, but discernment maintains direction. Technology can offer answers, but discernment asks the right questions. Without it, even the most advanced systems risk becoming instruments of confusion, chaos, and moral erosion. With it, technology becomes a true ally, a means to expand human potential, not to replace human wisdom, and a way to illuminate truth, not obscure it. This moment is a summons to stand, and the gravity of such a call cannot be overstated. life is filled with moments that appear ordinary, routine, or even insignificant. Yet some moments carry a weight that cannot be measured by appearances alone. They are thresholds, points in time where the choices you make resonate far beyond yourself. To be summoned is not merely to act, it is to rise into responsibility, to align with purpose, and to confront forces larger than comfort or convenience. This is the distinction between existing and answering. Existing allows life to wash over you like a river. Answering requires planting your feet, opening your eyes, and meeting the current with intention. The summons does not knock politely, it demands recognition. It does not seek casual attention, it requires readiness. To stand is to claim your place not because it is easy, safe, or applauded, but because it is necessary. Many avoid standing because it is uncomfortable, inconvenient, or lonely. Many retreat into shadows, hoping that someone else will take the weight, confront the challenge, or speak the truth. But this is precisely why the summons exists. It calls the one who understands that inaction is also a choice, and often the costliest of all. To stand is to choose presence over absence, courage over fear, and clarity over indifference. It is to embrace the responsibility that comes when recognition touches your life, whether in subtle whispers or bold proclamations. Standing requires more than physical posture. It requires moral, intellectual, and spiritual alignment. It demands that your decisions be rooted in discernment, your actions in integrity, and your vision in truth. You cannot stand effectively if you are fractured by doubt, swayed by convenience, or distracted by superficial gain. True standing, G, is holistic. It is the union of thought, emotion, and will in service of purpose. The summons does not call those who are half-prepared, divided, or self-serving. It calls those who can embody responsibility without hesitation, who can maintain composure under pressure, and who can act decisively without losing sight of righteousness. The summons to stand is rarely accompanied by applause or recognition at the moment. Often it is felt in silence, discerned in tension, or acknowledged by conscience alone. The world may not see the significance of your choice, and the path may be solitary. This is deliberate. Those who are called to stand must do so for reasons beyond external reward. They must be grounded in principle, guided by inner clarity, and fortified by vision. If you wait for approval, validation, or recognition, the summons will pass unheeded. If you wait for certainty, the opportunity will dissipate. Standing demands immediate commitment, even when the outcomes are unclear. To stand is also to resist complacency. The world will always offer distractions, conveniences, and false securities to lull you into inaction. It will present illusions of safety, popularity, or comfort as substitutes for responsibility. Those who fail to stand are often seduced by these illusions, convincing themselves that small, safe choices are sufficient. The summons is a reminder that sufficiency is not the measure of destiny, courage is. It reminds you that the moment calls for engagement, vigilance, and readiness to bear the burden that only you can carry. The summons to stand does not ignore fear, it acknowledges it, but it does not allow fear to dictate action. Fear is natural. Fear is even wise, for it signals the magnitude of what is at stake. Yet fear becomes weakness only when it paralyzes. Those who answer the summons recognize fear as a companion, not a master. They channel it into focus, discipline, and resolve. To stand is not to deny danger or challenge. It is to confront them with eyes open, heart steady, and hands ready. The summons calls for this courage precisely because the world is unsettled, uncertain, and often hostile to those who insist on integrity. To stand is to embrace responsibility that extends beyond the self. The summons often reaches you not for your benefit alone, but for the protection, guidance, and leadership of others. Choices you make, actions you take, and decisions you refuse to compromise reverberate through your environment. One person standing can stabilize a situation, inspire others to rise, and redirect forces that would otherwise spiral out of control. The summons recognizes that influence is not measured by fame or wealth, but by the willingness to act when standing is required, even when the cost is unseen. The summons also demands endurance. Standing is not a one-time event. It is a posture, a practice, a commitment sustained through trials, opposition, and fatigue. Those who rise initially may be tested repeatedly, as if the universe itself seeks to ensure their readiness. It is easy to stand once, easy to act under pressure when novelty energizes the spirit. The true measure is continuity. The ability to remain steadfast when the moment is no longer dramatic, when the challenges are persistent, and when the world expects capitulation. To answer the summons fully is to cultivate patience, fortitude, and vigilance, understanding that the call to stand may last longer than anticipation, and demand more than anticipated. Answering the summons also requires discernment. To stand recklessly is not the summons. To stand blindly is not courage. The call is not to fight every battle, speak at every moment, or resist every force indiscriminately. It is to identify the points that truly matter, to act decisively where the consequences are significant, and to remain deliberate in choice and execution. Discernment ensures that standing is meaningful, targeted, and effective, rather than symbolic, reactionary, or performative. The summons distinguishes between impulsive reaction and intentional resolve. This moment, then, is a summons to align all aspects of your being, mind, heart, spirit, and action, with purpose. It is a call to clarity, courage, and responsibility. It is a reminder that the time for hesitation has passed, and that the present demands presence. To stand is not to dominate, boast, or control. It is to fulfill the role entrusted to you by circumstance, destiny, or conscience. It is to be unmovable when instability surrounds you, unwavering when pressure threatens to sway you, and unshakable when uncertainty looms. The summons to stand is also a summons to legacy. The choices made in this moment, the courage exercised, and the responsibility embraced will ripple far beyond immediate perception. Even unseen actions, quiet integrity, and steadfast resolve create effects that influence the trajectory of communities, systems, and generations. Those who answer the call to stand contribute not only to immediate outcomes, but also to the moral and structural foundation upon which others will build. This is why the summons is sacred. It is both urgent and eternal. To ignore the summons is to abdicate responsibility. To shrink from standing is to leave the space open for chaos, compromise, and error. The moment will not pause. The world does not wait for hesitation. The summons is demand. Ding, immediate and uncompromising, because it is aligned with forces larger than convenience, popularity, or comfort. To stand is to answer the call of destiny, conscience, and principle all at once. Recognize this. Standing is not merely an act of defiance or strength. It is an act of obedience to truth, alignment with purpose, and service to what endures. It is the bridge between potential and actualization, between fear and courage, between indecision and action. It is the acknowledgement that some moments require more than observation, they require engagement. Some moments require more than reflection, they require motion. Some moments demand that you rise, declare your presence, and meet the weight of responsibility with both resolve and humility. Therefore, hear the summons clearly. Let it awaken what has lain dormant. Let it remind you of your capacity, your responsibility, and your readiness. The world may not understand. The path may not be easy. The call may not come with accolades. Yet the summons is undeniable, persistent, and sacred. To answer is to stand fully, with courage that is measured yet firm, with purpose that is clear yet flexible, with vision that is sharp yet inclusive. This is the essence of answering the call, of rising to meet the moment, and of standing when standing is demanded. This is your summons. Stand, do not hesitate, do not falter, do not ignore the weight and opportunity of this moment. Your presence matters, your choice matters, and your resolve will shape what is to come. To stand now is to fulfill a role that is both necessary and eternal, to answer a call that is urgent and profound, and to become the force capable of meeting what only you can meet. Stand. The moment will not wait, and the world awaits the strength you were made to embody.